now let's go into, you were already talking about the T-Wolves. We'll look into them. The big story with them, Soapy, is they may be going Obi Toppin. Not at number 1. I'm just clarifying that for me. I don't know what the article says, but this is from Duncan with Wolves of the Fan-Sided Network. Oh, come on, please work with me, website. Please work with me. Why you gotta do this? Let me scroll. Please let me scroll. I fucking hate
I don't know.
it.
Here in the let me scroll. I don't know why. I just thought of the Becky. Let me smash.
Let me smash. But here's what the article says. The Minnesota Timberwolves are currently on the clock for the NBA draft, which begins on Wednesday, November 18th, blah, 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 blah. Monday, Jonathan Wiseman of Bleacher Report reported that the Minnesota Timberwolves are high on Obi Toppin. So basically everyone's going off of Bleacher Report. Hey, they're high on Obi Toppin. To me, there's no way they take him at number 1. They should not be looking at him for number 1. Maybe they maybe they trade back. Like if the Knicks do what I predicted them to do, they trade up to 1. The T-Wolves are back at 8. Toppin's then in play, or could be in play at 8. The only other thing you got to look for, and this is from King James Gospel, is they have an article that Obi Toppin is basically in play for the Cavs at 5. So they're another team to where it's like, if you're going to move back in the T-Wolves and you're high on Obi Toppin, do you have to basically make it to where, okay, we either have to be 3 or 4, or can they move below Cleveland and still have a play to take Toppin? And I'll even ask you, should they be high on Toppin? Should Obi Toppin be a guy that the T-Wolves look for?
I mean, dude, fuck. If you're looking for the age-old, we're just gonna outscore you. Toppin is the choice.
Okay.
Because it's one of those things of, but at the same time,
mm-hmm.
you are the big, you're actually just a traffic cone on defense. You're not stopping anything.
Mm-hmm.
Not even the big pylons that can actually hurt your car. You're like a little shitty traffic cone at drivers at schools that everyone runs over their first time.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things. If you are high on Obi Toppin, 1, you're probably high on something else.
Mm-hmm.
If you were considering taking him at 1, you really need to reevaluate everything on your board. You need to wipe your board clean, fire your front office, fire your scout. This thing, Obi is a wonderful talent.
Yeah.
He's probably the best scorer in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need scoring.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have one of the best offensive. Yeah, it's almost like you have an offensive-oriented point guard. You have an offensive-oriented center who could be one of the best offensive players in the league if he stopped playing fucking Fortnite and tried. What a shocker. If Karl Anthony Towns actually tried, there'd be a good fucking argument to have him still in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally, I think right now, you have a piece that can be your offensive center point.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, in Towns. Then you have your secondary offensive player. I think right now you need to have somebody on this roster that can kind of, at times, take the ball out of D'Lo's hands and initiate offense.
Yeah.
The problem is, right now, the only reason I say don't do that at point guard is just because, once again, ball-dominant guards, all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I could see them trading back for someone like Denny. Obviously, Denny isn't the best defender in the world. But even in that, it's, you still get someone that at least, you could fill out your roster with defenders in free agency if anyone wants to go to Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, who's the guy they should be trading back for?
Who?
Aneko Kongwu.
True.
To me, if I'm the T-Wolves, there are 2 guys at the top of my board. And it's basically... Number 1 is James. That's the first thing. I've said it 2 fucking minutes ago. Fucking take James Wiseman. At number 1, take Wiseman. Be happy. You're going to get a good... the T-Wolves, to me, it's almost like... How would I describe this? So, basically, the T-Wolves are a losing franchise, right? And they want to get out and start winning. So imagine all the L's coming in. It's like you have a leaky roof, right? And rain's coming in, hitting you in the head. and someone goes, hey, I got this tool here. It'll help you fix that. And they go, nah, I don't want that. That's what they're doing here.
Yeah.
Hey, I need to fix this rim protection because if I fix this rim protection, teams won't walk all over my team. Because guess what? Cat is not a rim protector. D'Lo is not playing defense, like good enough defense on the outside to stop people from getting to the rim. That's why I would go. Like, James Wiseman has the rim protecting ability. He has the offense. Like, if you want to start running with this team, bingo, rim running ability in James Wiseman. I feel like we're so, like, not we, but like, I feel like teams are so afraid of James Wiseman because we only saw him in 3 games. Like, that's the only reason. I feel like if he would have played the whole season, we would have been looking at James Wiseman like, shit, he's the number 1 pick in this draft. Hell, if LaMelo played in college, we may even be thinking, shit, LaMelo is the number 1 player in this draft. I feel like because we didn't get, like, because Anthony Edwards is the top guy that we got to see all year, and we didn't even get to see a tournament, which I think kind of fucked everything as well. To me with the T-Wolves, I do not know why why Wiseman is just not the no-brain pick. But even in that sense, I would trade back, try to get some more picks, maybe get some more capital down the road. And Aneka, like, Denny would be nice. Like, if Denny's there, take him. But, like, Aneka Okongwu could work too. Yet again, a guy who can help you with rim protection. I feel like that's the big thing they need is rim protection. That's what they got to go with. Because they all, like I said, they also have a later pick. So unless you think like an Pokusevski can help you with that rim protection, I don't think so. I would take an Okongwu or a Wiseman in that department. But, like, I don't know. And like, unless you see something later in that pick, I think those should be the 2 guys that you're trying to get. Either Wiseman at 1 or trading back and drafting an Aneka Okongwu.
Yeah, and my whole thing is, I think right now with the higher up pick, I think you take someone that is a defender.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why, for instance, I fully agree with either it being Wiseman or Okongwu.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the later pick, you can take a scorer. Like, for instance, Josh Green will probably still be on the board. There's other scorers later in the draft where, for instance, like, a lot of us have Neesmith really high. Some people may not view him that high. You take Neesmith there, boom, you draft a scorer. And then in the second round, obviously, don't know who all is there. Not super in-depth draft guy.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if it's anything that's not Xavier Tillman in the second round, I ain't know him.
You could take, like, Xavier Tillman. Like, they have the 3rd pick in the second round. So, like, a Jaden McDaniels could be there, who's a 3. Robert Woodard,
personally for me,
the 2nd. Like, there are 3s there as well. Go ahead.
Yeah. My whole thing is just, if I was that high in the second round, though, honestly, if Desmond Bane is still on the board, that's who I'm taking.
Okay.
And that's my whole thing of where I saw, I don't remember exactly whose mock draft it was, but they had the Lakers taking Daniel Oturu, which I didn't agree with. And the only reason I didn't agree with it is I'm like, the Lakers don't need a big. You have 2 bigs on your roster already.
Mm-hmm.
Technically 3, because you have McGee, Dwight, and AD. But for instance, like, I thought they would take Desmond Bane. But for instance, if Desmond Bane is on the board, I think you take him in the second round. He kind of it sounds weird to say a college player is bringing in leadership. Fuck, dude. Like, he's a player that, I don't want to say like, oh, he's a Malcolm Brogdon in this draft, but he's a player that he's falling because of his age. And it's like, dude, in college, he was really good. Like, he can instantly step in and help your team in all facets of the game. For instance, he can help D'Lo on defense. He's not the greatest. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he's more of like a jack of all trades type of player.
Mm-hmm.
He's not great at anything, but he's not terrible. I honestly almost kind of comparing this draft of like how we view Tyrese Halliburton.
Okay.
Of how we view Halliburton as like, he's not great at anything, but he's not bad.
Could play the 1. Could, like, the thing that I like about Halliburton on the Bulls is like, he could play the 2. Like, he could play the 2 with Kobe. He could play the 1 with Zach. Like, he could play both positions wherever we fucking need him to play.
Yeah, and that's why I think the Timberwolves, with their later pick, should look to fill in that offense a little bit.
Yeah.
Because once again, you have two offensive focal points you can focus on in Cat and D'Lo. Then it's surrounding them with pieces that complement that. Of
Yeah.
where, for instance, like an off ball handler, obviously you probably won't get that with a later pick, but like if you take Josh Green, you have someone that could potentially be a steal of the draft. If you take Desmond Bain later on or Xavier Tillman, if you don't go defensive big in the first part,
Yeah.
like for instance, I feel Xavier Tillman's gonna be one of those people that I don't want to say he's gonna be like Mitchell Robinson, but I see a lot of what Mitch Rob brings, except he's not as anywhere near as athletic as Mitch. It's just I'll say I think he's one of the best defensive bigs in this draft.
Who am I thinking of after fucking Michigan State, after fucking Draymond? Who was the big that I was really high on, and then he went to the Hawks and didn't do anything? Adrian Payne. Like,
Yeah.
I hope that Xavier Tillman is not an Adrian Payne where he gets drafted in the second round. Then it's like, oh, I wish his career was better than it was.
Yeah, and obviously, once again, that's just a thing of, some people know pan out in the NBA.
Yeah, or situations like the Atlanta Hawks at the time.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I view what the Timberwolves need to do. They need to figure out, like, okay, are we going defense early or are we taking defense later?
Yeah.
If they're going defensive later, the only reason I still wouldn't take Obi is just because where does Tillman fit into that lineup then? Unless if you think Obi can play small forward in the NBA, which, I mean, he probably can. Like, he's a good athlete.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't even want to know how bad he would get absolutely torched by someone like KD. Like,
yeah,
that's the thing of where it's, I don't think he's, like, I think they need to focus on defense at the center position, move Cat to the 4. He can dominate most 4s. Like, if Cat actually gives a shit, like, I'm still, like, the biggest Cat, like, fan. And I'll even say it, like, there's a whole reason why I still have Cat, like, whenever, like, top 5 centers and everything get brought up, I still have Cat at number 3 solely because if Cat actually gave a shit for one game, people would actually see, holy shit, this is all this talent that Cat has.
That's the thing, like, even, so I read, like, years ago, Coach K came out with a book, or he wrote a book, not Coach K, Calipari, wrote a book, and I was gracious enough through MVP to get a press copy because I get emails to my personal email where like all these sports books so basically story time. I used to write for Fansided. Because of that, I got put on a list where basically any of these sports books like Phil Jackson's book, Calipari's book, I basically get the agent sends me like, hey, would you like a copy of this book? And what I was trying to do at the time, it didn't pan out because of his availability, is my goal was I was like, hey, I'd love to get a copy of the book. I'd love to get interview, because they were scheduling interviews for Calipari to talk about the book. And I was like, I'd love to interview Calipari about it. So I read it thinking I was going to get ready for an interview, and it just never panned out. But there's a chapter in there where he talks about Cat. And the thing that I've brought this up before on the Fast Break, Sean and Dave used to be annoyed with it. But I thought it was intriguing that basically Cat, one of his biggest like mental hurdles, you could say, is being motivated. Like, motivating Cat is what you have to do. And basically what he had in his head to help motivate him was a little version of himself on his shoulder called Carlito, where basically that would be it. Like, basically he would talk to Carlito. And that would be the thing that like hyped up Cat and got Cat into the game. And like, I don't know, the great thing about the book, check it out if you haven't, is he kind of gives an insight to Cat that I didn't know about, mainly because he had coached Cat. So, like, it's right on what you were saying, where it's like, yep, Killa? That's what he called it, Carlito.
Okay, wait. Question though: does he
ahead.
spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool?
I don't know. I don't know if
Who
it's like
knows?
the WWE wrestler. I just know it's Carlito with a K. I should look for the. I'm gonna find the book, and I'll find the fucking segment of it, and I'll post it in the Discord. Because it's a great. It was so interesting when I read it. But the one thing I did want to get to is from Twitch chat where Eric had mentioned, because I love how Twitch chat's having fucking tons of conversations today. It's popping off on a Feel Good Friday. But he says, going back to Obi Toppin a little bit, because that's kind of the main point of it, was he said Toppin has no ceiling. Toppin is one-dimensional. Right now, he's right. Toppin is purely a scoring four, and his offensive game is what he's good at. Now, defensively, is he a complete liability? No. But there are things he needs to work on the defensive end. For example, I'm looking at the Stepien here, and they senses outcomes like high outcome, medium outcome, low outcome. His high outcome, this is what they put: spacing four who can provide elite vertical gravity and finish in paint in general in the half court at a high level, and provides good horizontal gravity off catch and shoot and pick and pop. Above average defender if interior defense improves footwork and technique on perimeter to reach average levels in space. And like that's like for me, I think Obi Toppin, he is a player that is going to be kind of dependent on where he gets drafted, because he's going to need a coach that can unlock. Like, I think he has, watching him in college, there's potential in him. It's just which coach is going to be able to unlock him. I don't think it's with the T-Wolves. I don't think it's like if he goes to the Cavs, I think that's a catastrophic situation for Obi Toppin. But I feel like Obi Toppin to me is kind of like that Rui Hachimura from last year, and kind of like why I liked Rui, because it's like you see the potential in him. It's just at the next level, is he going to be able to unlock it?
Exactly, and that's how I feel with Toppin. To where obviously, like at the beginning, it may have come off that like I was saying Toppin was a bad player, which is not what I meant.
No, he's got to improve. He's got work to do.
I think, yeah. And for instance, like if they did draft him at 1, I'll be brutally honest. If I was a Timberwolves fan, I'd demand the team got sold.
Yeah.
I would stop going to games. I wouldn't give a single fuck if even Toppin turned out good. Because that'd be like, that was the biggest gamble you could have taken. Obviously, once again, everyone's talked about this draft class isn't the best. It's not the best. It's not the best. Wiseman has potential to be one of the best centers in the NBA. Okongwu has a chance to be one of the best defensive big men in the league. Anthony Edwards, if he can get motivated, could probably be one of the best scorers in the NBA. LaMelo Ball, if he hits, could be one of the best point guards in the NBA. Like, that's one of the things where it's, I think with Toppin, yes, he's an elite offensive player at the collegiate level. How many times have we seen elite offensive players falter in the NBA? Because, and obviously this is a completely different example, but it kind of falls in the same thing with Jimmer Fredette. We thought Jimmer Fredette was going to be an absolute god.
Yeah.
That man was out of the league in like a year. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Obi. Ignore my dog. She's being annoying.
No. I laugh because we're kind of having dueling dogs here. Like, my dog's going crazy. Then it's like when mine shuts up, yours goes crazy.
Yep. But it's basically, I think right now, it's like, I don't think Obi falls in the lottery. I think he does stay top 10. But my whole thing is, I don't think he goes top. Like, the only place I think he goes top 5, in my opinion, is the Cavs. And then they're going to regret taking him, and not because, the Cavs are not going to develop him. Who the fuck's going to pass him the ball?
I'll disagree. I feel like there's one other team in the top 5 he could go to, and that's the Bulls.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Hornets, and I was going to have to fight you.
The only reason The only reason I say maybe the Bulls is it depends on what they think Lauri Markkanen. Like, are we giving up on Lauri? Are we not giving? Like, if we're giving up on Lauri Markkanen, then Obi Toppin's in play. Otherwise, he's not in play at 4. But yeah, that's pretty much where I am. Like with the T-Wolves, I wouldn't take Toppin at 1. I would trade back. Like, if you're going to trade back to 8 with the Knicks, take Toppin at 8 if he's there. That would be a good deal. At 8, though, then like Okoro and Vassell come into play. Like, I think Devin Vassell could be good for this team at the 3.
See, I think Okoro's off the board by that, though. As much as I am the biggest Okoro hater in the Discord,
I mean, it depends.
I think he gets taken by the Hawks.
You think so?
Yeah. I think either him or Vassell go to the Hawks, and then one of them falls.